Camino with Kit Hogg.
We rarely get the privilege to chat to professional musicians on the programme, but today I'm delighted to say is an exception. As with all good drummers, somewhat out of the limelight in relentless dedication to the rhythm, but Geoff Britton has a lifetime's experience playing with names like Bill Haley and the Comets, Alvin Stardust, Manfred Mann, and on Junior's Farm, the song we've just been listening to, with Paul McCartney and WINGS. Long-time resident on the Costa Blanca, he joins us now. Geoff Britton, welcome en Camino.
Hi, Kit. Thanks for having me on the show.
Very nice to have you, and thank you for coming on. Geoff, a lifetime's drumming, and I want to kind of start at the beginning. Club Med was your first work, am I right? What year and where was that?
Yeah, that would be 1964, Sant Moritz, Spain. Did 3 seasons there, then off to when the Winter Olympics were in France. Grenoble, played there as well. So, it was a very good grounding for musicians at that time.
Can I ask you how old you were at that time?
Probably late teens, early 20s, just at that time.
And that was your first they were your first gigs, proper gigs, paid gigs?
Well, I was playing with a little group called the Counts and the Traitors, which were just little, 3-4-piece groups playing, as we did in those days, youth clubs. Remember them?
Yeah, back in Blighty.
Yeah.
Right.
Back in Blighty.
Back in Blighty. Whereabouts in Blighty?
Beckenham.
Okay.
London now.
So you're a Londoner, yeah?
Yes.
All right. Okay. And then you played country and western for a band called the Kingpins. That's
right. When I stopped working doing the club, came back. I got married. I married a lady from Switzerland, and we moved to southeast London. And a pal of mine got me the gig with the Kingpins, which in those days did 7 gigs a week in the brewers, Fuller's Brewery, were all over London, and they supported country and western. Albert Lee was on the circuit with Country Fever at the same time.
Oh yeah.
Great guitarist.
Yeah. And then you moved from country to progressive rock with a band called East of Eden, of which I think I've heard.
Yeah, it's a very musical change. It was progressive rock, and it did everything from, Archie Shepp, Albert Ayler to Bill Haley, actually. Yeah, but it was a great band. They did have a hit with Jigger Jig, which I didn't actually play on, but the violin player, Dave Arbus, did play on the Baba O'Reilly, the Who track.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, sure.
Unfortunately, we lost him a few weeks ago, unfortunately.
Oh, okay, right. And you played in Hamburg Star Club with that band?
Yes, the Star Club, the Cavern, everything that the 60s pop groups had done. We played all those venues and realised how hard it was on those bands in those days.
Yeah, I read about the Beatles in Hamburg. I mean, it sounded like such a workout. Have you got any particular reminiscences of Hamburg in those days? Yes,
all of us with our long hair and our hippie gear on, getting attacked walking up the Rapier Bar back to our hotel because we were doing a sort of a couple of weeks there, and because we were looking a bit odd, we were set about by the local Herberts. That's the outstanding memory.
Okay, but you survived, yeah? You were able to play the next night.
Yeah, it was. Well, we nearly got killed because we legged it so furiously and ran across the road. And those days, Germany was ahead of England. It had the traffic lights controlled, so you weren't allowed to cross until you got your special crossing green light. So we were running away from these blokes, and just we nearly got killed by the cars or get beaten up by the locals. It was a tough choice.
Right. And then you played with a band called The Gun, and then another band called the Wild Angels, and they were rock and roll.
Yeah, they were a 50s revival group as such. Actually, in hindsight, I had more fun with the Wild Angels than any other band I ever worked with. Just great, all motorbikes, leathers, playing these rock and roll venues. And at that time, again, the university circuit was really lucrative. And we were on the bill, as East of Eden was, with bands that all went on to become household names, bands like Yes and Free.
Mm-hmm.
All that time. It was so creative, really.
So I'm getting we're in the early 70s now.
Yeah, that would be 73, 72, 73 when I was with the Wild Angels.
Right. Yeah, I was at Bristol University in 75, and we had some amazing, like Joe Cocker played at the Union, Niels Lofgren, Joe Nelma Trading. It's really, some really good people. So the university circuit must have been fun then. It
was. I mean, with East of Eden, we played Leeds University the week after The Who, where they recorded live at Leeds.
Oh, yeah.
And the same hall. And, they were all buzzing about, The Who had done this great gig, which is now a double CD. Yeah, killer band. Mm. And great times because, all those bands on that circuit went on to become household national institutions. Wonderful time, really. Are
you in touch with any of the other Wild Angels still?
Well, actually, yes. I'm having quite a difficult time with one of them because Sutton Council put him in a care home and ruined his life. Billy Kingston, the keyboard player. So, yeah, I'm in touch with him, one of the guitarists, some of them, unfortunately. No, that lineup, they're all still with us. Some of the earlier incarnation of the band have passed away. Mm. But the Wild Angels I work with, although the Swedish singer Jerry Williams, unfortunately, he passed in 2018. He came over and worked with us, and he was like Sweden's Cliff Richard. He was great. Sweden a lot.
Okay, did he? I can't imagine Cliff Richards fitting into the Wild Angels.
No. I'm saying that Jerry Williams was like Sweden's Cliff. He started in the 50s and he was still going strong in the late 1920s, the 2000s.
Okay, but it wasn't as clean cut as Cliff.
No, but Cliff started off as a rocker, remember? Move It was probably one of the best early British versions of rock and roll that we ever had.
Fair play.
So,
yeah, fair play. Yeah. So I want to cut to WINGS now because Paul McCartney said WINGS started in the early 70s. I remember it being very big in 75, 74, 75.
Yeah, I came in, but they were in the charts with The Band on the Run.
That's
which
right.
I think is his masterpiece, really, because Paul ended up, Denny Sywell quit, the original drummer, who they should never have let go, a wonderful drummer. And so they buzzed off to Lagos, the three of them, Denny, Linda and Paul, and made Band on the Run, which I think's a masterpiece. And I came in...
Sorry to interrupt you, Geoff. Did you say Lagos in Nigeria?
Yeah, that's where they recorded it.
Wow.
Yeah, it was originally going to be at Ginger Baker's studio. That was a bit of a fallout there, and they ended up at this other studio. I'm not quite sure what the full ins and outs, but Ginger Baker was very upset at the time. Ginger Baker, the drummer of Cream.
Cream, yeah.
Yeah, one of my idols, in actual fact, Ginger, great drummer.
Right, but I've never logged Nigeria as a studio scenario.
No. Well, that's where it's recorded, and that's where Paul and Linda went out for a midnight stroll and nearly lost their lives. They got robbed, and fortunately, because they didn't know it was Paul McCartney, and but because they were white Europeans, they were let to survive. Yeah, very, very, very dodgy for them.
Okay. Just to go back to how you got on to WINGS, you said that you had an audition with 52 other drummers. That's quite a selection process, Geoff.
Yeah, the whole thing was it wouldn't happen today like that. Originally, you see, there was no internet, and the Melody Maker put it out there that WINGS were looking for a drummer, and you couldn't phone up MPL, their offices. It was all ex-directory. It just so happened I was a very serious martial artist, and I was running in a club in West Wickham for my friend who was studying for 2 years in Okinawa, Japan. And one of the students in the club was Cliff Davis, who was the manager of Fleetwood Mac. Mm-hmm. And he asked me in the break, did I know about the Wings audition? And I said, yeah, I'd read about it, but, didn't know what to do. And he said, well, stay in tomorrow. I'll call you with the office number. And he did. And I phoned up the office, and the office said, well, we've had hundreds of applicants, so we're full up. And I to this day, I question what happened, because at the end of the conversation, the wonderful gentleman, Alan Crowther, he said, I'm going to put you on the list. And from there on, they hired the Albany Theatre in the West End of London, and they held it over 3 days. You were given the time and you turned up. And I picked up my mate, Jim Russell, who was in the charts with a record called Why Did You Do It by Stretch, which was a killer, the drumming on it's killer. Mm-hmm. So I picked him up on my motorbike on the way into town. I was living in Kent at the time. And I said, we're going to meet Paul McCartney. Jump on the back, and off we went, parked right out against the stage door at the Albany Theatre, and walked in. And who are you? Geoff Britton. All right, you're on at 2 o'clock. And who's he? Oh, Jim Russell. He's not on the list. And so we nearly got thrown out there, because I started saying, well, I'm not going to play if he can't play, and all this old nonsense. So what ended up happening is that I played at 2, and somebody cancelled, and Jim Russell got to play at 6:30. So we were allowed to sit in the theatre together and watch the other drummers that afternoon audition.
Had you prepared a piece?
Sorry?
Had you prepared a piece? What did you drum to?
Right. Well, this is where it was such a surprise, because from the stage door anteroom, I could see the stage. And the first thing I realised was it wasn't McCartney up there. It was session musicians hired, and McCartney, Wings and the management and the team were all sitting in the theatre watching these drummers play with these session musicians. And Rob Townsend, the family drummer, and later went on to be with the Manfreds, he was playing, great drummer. And so I watched him, and then they all buzzed off to have a lunch, 1 till 2, and Jim and I set up the drummers as we like it and warmed up. And then what was difficult, and this is why I said earlier about the Club Med, it wasn't a straightforward rock audition. They were slinging in all sorts of different types of music, one of which was a Duke Ellington piece called Caravan. And Caravan's got a very big rhythmic change from the da 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 da, and you're playing sort of a tom-tom thing, and then it goes into a da 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 da, which is a big swing thing. Well, all the drummers that didn't know Caravan fell apart on that, and that's how the audition was. Even Mitch Mitchell, which to my mind shouldn't have even been auditioning, he was auditioning that afternoon, and we saw Mitch play. Mitch Mitchell was Jimi Hendrix drummer, and one of the star drummers of the 60s with a real footprint. And he played, and he didn't have a good day, and he didn't. So from that, so those 3 days.
You missed the Caravan. Sorry. You missed the Caravan bit.
Yeah, well, he should do. He's a jazz drummer, Mitch Mitchell. I mean, he played with Georgie Fame, and that was
mate. My point is, did you know that this stuff was coming up, or did they just spring it on you at the audition?
They just sprung it on you.
Really?
Yeah, at the audition.
Right. Okay.
The guys were saying,
you had no prep. You had nothing prepped. They just right. Interesting.
It's literally, this is a New Orleans shuffle. 1, 2, 3. This is a 12/8 blues. 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
This is a tune called Caravan. 1, 2, 3, and bosh. And that's how it was, one after the other. There was, hardly time to take a breath.
Right.
That was the first audition. That was 3 days at the Albany for 52 drummers. Then from that, I got a phone call that said, we're very pleased with you. Would you make yourself available to come to the Electric Ballroom in Camden Town? Bring your drums, and you're going to be playing with the members of Wings. So I turned up with my mate who helped me set up the drums, and I had a a morning playing with Macca and the other members of Wings. So everyone was very nice, and we just sat up in the corner of a ballroom, just like any little band would do. No big deal, no special gear. And so a few days go past, nobody says anything other than being very pleasant. I get another phone call and said, yeah, we're very pleased with you. Would you be prepared to come and spend all day and go out to lunch and all that? So, of course, yeah, fine. So I then spent the day with them and went out to lunch with them. And then I was out jogging where I lived in Walderslade, and my now ex-wife shouted out the window, Paul McCartney's on the phone. And so I jogged in out of breath, and he said, you got the gig. That was it.
Brilliant, man. Brilliant. Was that like one gig or a tour or to do a recording or what? What did that mean?
Well, no,
You've got the gig.
At the time, well, he wanted it to be a band. At the time, it was, to be a full-fledged member of Wings.
Fully fledged winger. Wow! Well, how exciting, man! So, tell me, I've seen the clip on YouTube of One Hand Clapping, which is a studio recording of you guys playing together. How was that to be playing in the aura of one of the most famous musicians in the world, a total icon? What was that like?
Well, I take you back to the audition, really, because when we set up in the Electric Ballroom, Paul was literally just in front of my drum kit. I mean, I could touch him. Just like any little semi-pro band would be playing, a youth club gig, you'd be in the corner. And it is Paul McCartney. And I was a real big Beatles fan. I'd seen them live in the early 60s in Woolwich Odeon. And like all the bands, Jerry and the Pacemakers, Searching, I loved all that stuff. So it was kind of like a reality, like you got a job to do, but at the same time, it was like, wow. And on top of that, he turned around to me and said, do you like rock and roll? And I said, come off it, Paul, we're the same age, like you, I saw Buddy Holly and Bill Haley when they came to England and Little Richard. So he said, do you know the tune Lucille? I said, yeah. He said, well, let's do it. I said, oh, hang on a minute, which version? He said, what do you mean, which version? I said, well, Little Richard had it big time, but so did the Everly Brothers. And Buddy Harman played on the Everly's version, and his drumming's really different. So Paul raised his eyebrow and goes, okay, let's do the Everly's version. So my first playing with them was the Everly's version of Lucille. So to answer your question, yeah, it was pretty full on, because like I never thought I had a chance to get the gig. So for me and my mate Jim Russell, it was just like we'd meet Paul McCartney, and that was the thrill there and then. By the time we did One Hand Clapping, we'd already lived together for 6 weeks in Nashville, where we rehearsed and kind of got the band together. So we were like, used to being around him and the lifestyle that permeates around somebody of that magnitude.
Right. Fascinating stuff, mate. Listen, we are actually running a little bit out of time. I just want to move on.
No problems.
I just want to move on. You played then with Bill Haley, the Keys, Alvin Stardust, Mike Oldfield. How did you get to Spain?
Well, I came actually ostensibly to ride my bike. I've been a racing cyclist in the early 60s, and through being on the road and that, it always got shelved and I couldn't do it. And Cycling Magazine said, we were living in the doldrums and knowing about other countries. You could ride your bike all year round in Spain. So I came out here with my push bikes and my partner, thinking that I'd ride my bike, get sort of racing fit, get a Winnebago and go around England doing the veteran cycles circuit and doing some racing. Mm-hmm. But I met a really top class guitarist, Graham Foster, and the bass player from we worked with Jim Russell and the guy I was talking about earlier, and we formed a little band, and we just never stopped working. So that's
and that was a blues band, yeah, that you took on the road in Spain.
Major Blues, it was called.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah. Great band, great band.
And you live now on the Costa Blanca, am I right?
Yeah, I'm up in the Costa Blanca. What I'd like to be able to say is that we've got the villa on the market for sale, and I want to carry on working. So if there's anybody down in the Costa del Sol would be interested in me, I can move and live anywhere. So that would be of interest to me as well. If somebody wants to, if I'm able to give you my phone number, then that would be great.
Yeah, you certainly can, Geoff. Let's have that right now. It's a 7-Eleven, isn't it? Because I remember dialing it just now.
No, I've got another phone that'd be better for people to phone me on.
Okay,
that number.
okay, mate. Let's have it then.
647
647
946
946
306.
306. Okay, let's repeat that in case you're grappling for a pen and paper, looking for a drummer. 647 946 306, and that is the phone number of Geoff Britton. Geoff, before we say goodbye, and we're going to listen to another Wings song that you played on called Sally G, to which apparently there's an interesting story.
Yeah, well, it was just that whilst we were living in Nashville, we were taken out. Our host, Buddy Killen, who had the Sound Shop recording studio, took us to Printers Alley. And this lady, Sally G, happened to be a guitarist lady there, and was introduced to us, and this, that, and the other. And it was a great night. I bumped into Waylon Jennings and loads of country stars like that. They all came up to us and were really friendly. Well, the next morning, we all lived in this big house of Curly Putman's. He wrote The Green, Green Grass of Home, big hit for Tom Jones.
Oh, yeah.
And so I get up. We get up about 9 o'clock. And Paul comes into me, and he's got an acoustic guitar around his neck. And he said, "What do you think of this, Geoff?" And he'd written Sally G. He'd come home like the rest of us. So we'd driven back to Curly Putman's ranch, gone to bed. And between going to bed and through his sleeping, it's like it's just happened to him. He'd written Sally G. And we recorded it 2 days later. I mean, it just beggars belief that you know, the inspiration, and it's all about Nashville and Tennessee, and here you've got a song. And I thought, well, if that doesn't epitomise the talent, the gift that this man's got, yeah, that did it.
That's brilliant, man. So we're going to listen to Sally G in a moment, but before I let you go, you've got a lament, haven't you, Geoff? Because you used to listen to this radio station up on the Costa Blanca, and now you can't hear it for some reason.
I tell you something, it is a terrible loss for me and the crowd of my friends up here that we loved TRE. You on Saturdays, Giles in the morning. Well, I go back before. In fact, I go back to the original guy who was a drummer, and he got into a bit of hot water. And then Bill Padley took over. And then you had Selena. Then you had...
Selena's still with us, yeah.
Yeah, and Hannah.
Yeah, Hannah's still with us.
Great interviews. Great. I learned a lot. They brought in different doctors, different specialists we interviewed, and I've read their books. And I tell you, the radio station is the greatest, and we miss it terribly. So, yes, big loss for us.
Okay. Well, I couldn't possibly comment. I don't know what's going on, but it does make me sad because I know,
me too.
I know I've lost listeners up your way. So anyway, let's see what we can do. Geoff Britton, it's been a delight talking to you.
Thank you, Kit. You are the greatest. So thank you.
And that phone number again, Geoff Britton, drummer par excellence, looking for work. If you've got a band or know of any opening for him, here's his phone number, 647 946 306, or you can WhatsApp me on this program, or indeed just send an email to TRE, mark it for the attention of Kit Hogg. Geoff, adios, buddy.
Thank you, Kit. Thank you very much. Bye now.
Bye-bye now.
Best wishes to everybody down there. Bye.